The Robinson family is seen playing a game while patiently sitting in a spaceship. Unexpectedly, their spaceship is hit and they crashes on an unfamiliar frozen planet. The mother, Maureen, gets her leg broken. They makes it out of the ship just when it sinks into the water and they are now trapped with little to no resources. Maureen figures out that they have a small amount of time to get to the ship because the water can freeze them to death. Maureen also discovers that this planet is habitable, so they don't need their spacesuits anymore. The father, John, claims that they need to retrieve a battery from the ship because the battery will keep their suits warm and they won't freeze to death at night. John wants to send the youngest sibling, Will, back on the ship to retrieve the battery, but the older sibling, Judy, stops him and jumps in the ship before Will can. She is able to get the battery, but not in time as she freezes under the ice. Maureen claims that Judy only has 6 hours before the oxygen in her suit will run out and she will die. Meanwhile, Will spots an ice mountain that is melting with white flames and speculates that there must be magnesium there. Magnesium catches fire if combined with ice and therefore can melt it. John and Will leaves to retrieve the magnesium so that they can save Judy. After some time, they finally reach the mountain where John starts collecting the magnesium, but suddenly, Will falls down from a cave. Maureen's condition is worsening and she requires an immediate leg surgery or else the blood clotting will cause her leg to get paralyzed. Judy is a medical student and she guides her sister Penny to perform the surgery. Meanwhile, Will reaches another part of the planet that completely consists of trees and there is no ice. John makes the decision to go and save Judy and then come back to save Will. In a flashback, it is revealed that through an unknown person, Maureen got Will approved for this space mission illegally as Will wasn't qualified enough. Will soon finds an alien spaceship and discovers a robot, but only its lower part. Scared, he climbs a tree and discovers the robotic torso as well. John comes on time and puts the magnesium on the ice. It starts to work and a glimmer of hope shines, but suddenly rain started. The water freezes again and Judy is still stuck. In another flashback, it is revealed that John and Maureen's relationship wasn't good and they wanted a divorce. As fire scatters through the forest, Will decides to help the robot and throws the torso near its lower body. The robot heals himself and rescues Will. On the other hand, as all the hopes are lost for the Robinson family, Will comes in with the robot, melts the ice and rescues Judy. While all of them are befuddled, Will commands him, and the robot started keeping them warm with his heat. We then sees the Resolute space station 12 hours before all of this. The space station is attacked by the robot alien similar to the one Will has found. The Robinsons leaves before looking at it. A woman steals the identity of a man named Dr. Smith and teams up with 2 mechanics who are also desperate to leave. We then see multiple ships and the Resolute getting sucked into a colorful portal. The mechanic named Don West finds his ship on the edge and about to fall. He frees the woman whom he thinks is Dr. Smith and leaves the ship. On the other hand, Maureen is eager to learn about the robot, who has started to melt the rest of the ice to get their ship out. Don and Dr. Smith finds the dead body of the other mechanics. Smith pretends like she cares while Don gathers some useful stuffs. He spots a parachute far away and they heads towards it. The robot has evaporated almost all the water inside the ship and they are fixing it. They send Penny outside to fix a pipe when she witnesses a giant explosion. She informs her parents to take Will and the robot to check for the survivors. Don and Smith are in a desert-like area and they find an unconscious woman named Angela, while Maureen and the others discover a destroyed ship but no survivors. Penny also spots a storm approaching and wants to rescue his family. While Judy is against it, Penny forcefully starts the engines which melted the ice and makes for her to take a chariot, a modified truck. Don is now carrying Angela when he noticed the storm well and signals a flare gun. The robot takes all of them to his ship as Maureen and John steps inside. When the robot touches the ship, a 3D map materializes before Maureen and she discovers that they are in another galaxy. Will is seen touching the robot when he sees visions of his species killing people. Will gets scared and even tells the robot to jump off a cliff, but stops him before he can. As the storm comes, Don and Smith hides in a cave with Angela. Smith manipulates him into thinking that she is going out to get help while actually stealing the flare gun and leaving. Penny comes at the right time and rescues them, but before they returns, they seize the flare. They eventually find Smith and when asked, she claims that she is alone. They finally reach their ship and Smith is petrified to see the robot. In the past, Smith's real name was June, and she also stole her sister's identity to enter the Resolute. In the present, Maureen explains that they are millions of light years away from Earth, but they will find a way back. At night, Smith goes into every room and gathers information about the family. More ice breaks and falls on their ship, so they have to move instantly. Maureen and John discovers that the engine is not working because of the storm. Maureen comes back and divides everyone while giving them tasks. She goes with Smith to fix the engine. Smith cannot do such things and manipulates Maureen into thinking that she is a therapist and cannot do any of this. Maureen and John also finds out that the fuel is leaking and they cannot escape. Smith wants to escape now and hides inside a room. The robot thinks that there is danger around, so he locks Will inside the room where Smith was hiding. John goes down and finds eels near the fuel tanks. He kills one and brings it back, and they find that the eels feed on fuel. Now their main tank is almost empty, but their reserve tank is full, and it is set to send fuel to the main tank when it gets empty. They have to turn it off manually so that the eels don't get any more fuel from the main tank. Smith also starts to talk to Will and gets information on the robot. In a flashback, Smith is seen going inside the Resolute while pretending to be her sister, but her sister's lover finds out the truth and started fighting Smith. She manages to throw him out into space and kill him so that no one else finds out. In the present, John is struggling with eels while Maureen tries to fix the engine. The ship gets hit with a piece of ice and Judy gets trapped under some heavy boxes while Penny falls near the eels. John goes down to save Penny, but even the reserved fuel is almost gone. While Judy frees herself, Smith asks Will to command the robot to let her go, and the robot agrees. Smith wants to escape, but changes her mind to help Maureen. They are all together now, but they still can't go. Judy comes up with a way to get rid of the eels and escape on low fuel. It works as they flies out of the cave and successfully survives. They lands nearby and their communication system starts to work again. They hear that many more spaceships landed here and help will arrive soon. Maureen goes to Will and sees that the robot is letting him go and that he means no harm. When they are together, they hear that the Resolute is repaired and they can all together return to Alpha Centauri. The Robinsons are very happy to hear this while Smith is nervous. This is because in the past, she actually got captured for identity theft and was in prison. The robot prints out a gun and gives it to Will for safety. He hides it in his bed so that no one can get it, but unfortunately, Smith witnesses him hiding it. John then puts a perimeter fence around the ship. John and Will also had a talk about the robot on how long will he keep protecting Will. Penny and Will discovers that their ship is expandable, and when they try to expand it, they find a giant rock stopping the ship. Will goes out with the robot and moves the rock. Smith comes and starts to ask more questions about the robot. John, Maureen, and Judy are going to another ship that have contacted them. That ship have also rescued Don, and he requested medical care for Angela, which is why they brought Judy with them. Don also has a chicken with him. A woman named Aiko tells Maureen that there are a total of 13 ships, 63 survivors, and 27 dead. But none of the ships can reach the Resolute because the eels consumed the fuel of all the other ships as well. John sees a broken piece of the Resolute and decides to check it out, while Don also insists on joining them. Angela tells Judy that the robots have started attacking the Resolute, and Judy understands that it's the same robot that Will has found. She immediately goes to Will in a chariot and asks him about this. She gets angrier when she discovers that Will already knew about it and did nothing. Will goes inside the ship and packs some of his things to leave with the robot. Smith sees this and steals the gun once Will leaves. Judy and Penny tried to stop him, but Will says that he will tell the robot to stay in a cave and never leave, for which Judy also agrees. John, Maureen, and Don reach the huge part of the Resolute and plan to go further inside. Don is here because he smuggled some illegal stuff into the Resolute and wants them back. In the forest, Will and the others seize the rest of the survivors and hides as they can't let them see the robot. However, a boy named Vijay finds them in the robot, but they convince him to stay quiet about it. Smith is also following them. Maureen calls them and informs the kids that she and John won't be back for the night because they will try to look around the piece of the Resolute that they have found. Will and the others decide to spend the night in the cave. At night, they witness a striking herd of purple flying jellyfish-like creatures, and they cherish this beautiful moment with the robot. On the other hand, a piece of the Resolute falls on John and Maureen, but it is hollow, so they get trapped inside while Don tries to free them. In the morning, Don frees them and they heads back to their ship. They contact Vijay's father and informed him that they are coming on their ship. Will tells the robot to stay in the cave and leaves. The Robinsons reunites on the ship and the parents suspect nothing. Back in the cave, Smith goes to the robot, knowing that it can understand her. She tries to manipulate the robot, telling him that the Robinson family is just using him for their own cause and that they can turn their back on him whenever they want. She also offered to help him when that happens, but in exchange she asked for his loyalty and her protection. Confused and in deep thinking, the robot agrees to work for Smith. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.